Sui has been one of the top performing altcoins in this cycle, and it always seems to be the altcoin that pumps the most when the markets start moving.
Believe it or not,
this could actually be just the beginning, and that's because the GameFi narrative hasn't been in the spotlight yet, and Sui has been positioning itself at the top of this crypto niche. And this means that Sui could get a massive second leg higher soon enough. And that's why today we're going to bring you up to speed on everything Sui has been up to, a look at how high it could go, and examine the challenges it could face on its mission to the moon. My name is Nick. Stay tuned. I'll start by saying that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's educational content intended to inform you about Sui. I'll also do note that many members of the Coin Bureau team hold Sui as part of their personal crypto portfolios, but you can rest assured that we will remain as objective as possible in our analysis, as always. If you want to know what other cryptos we hold, then become a member of the Coin Bureau Club. That's where we do weekly reviews of promising small cap altcoins, give daily alpha about the crypto market, and discuss what comes next in the members' Discord. The link will be down in the description. Now, it's been over 3 months since we last covered Sui, and a lot has happened since then. Shortly after our last video went live, the Phantom wallet officially integrated Sui. Now, for context, Phantom is one of the most popular crypto wallets, so much so that it actually flipped the Coinbase app in the App Store last year. And this made it possible for Phantom's 7 million active users to access Sui and its ecosystem, which is objectively quite bullish. In February, Sui Bridge added support for wrapped Bitcoin, aka WBTC, and then added support for Lombard Bitcoin, aka LBTC, in early March. Now, for reference, BTC is becoming a popular form of collateral in DeFi across multiple chains. More wrapped Bitcoin on Sui means more borrowing, and that means more money flowing into altcoins on Sui. Do remember that we review altcoins like this in the Coin Bureau Club. Anyways, another thing that happened in February was Mysten Labs joining the Blockchain Association. Now, for those unfamiliar, Mysten Labs is the company behind Sui, and the Blockchain Association is basically the biggest crypto lobbying group in the US. Sui co-founder Edene Abiodun confirmed in a February interview that Sui has been involved in discussions around crypto regulations in the US. Very bullish indeed. March was when the real bullishness began, though. First, Mysten Labs announced that it had acquired Web3 gaming startup Parasol. Now, since that time, Parasol has announced that it will launch multiple games on Sui. For those unaware, Sui's strategy to gain mass adoption is to start with GameFi, use that to grow its DeFi sector, and then eventually pivot to commerce. We're currently in the GameFi stage. Now, the second bullish announcement from Sui in March was its partnership with World Liberty Financial, the upcoming DeFi project being launched by members of Donald Trump's family. And part of the partnerships include World Liberty Financial purchasing an unspecified amount of Sui. Of course, this will eventually lead to the narrative that people with close ties to Trump are buying Sui, which is also, again, very bullish. And you can learn more about which cryptos could benefit from Trump's presidency using this link right over here. Anyhow, the third bullish announcement from Sui in March was Canary Capital announcing that it had filed for the first ever spot Sui ETF. The CBOE BZX exchange subsequently filed with the SEC to list the ETF, and this is significant because if Spot Solana ETF gets approved, then many investors will start speculating on which cryptos come next. And the fact that Sui is a de facto competitor to Solana will put it on the radar. The fourth and final bullish announcement from Sui in March was the news that Walrus, a decentralized storage solution on Sui built by Mysten Labs, had raised a staggering $140 million in an ICO. Notably, this funding round included asset manager Franklin Templeton. As many of you will know, Walrus's mainnet recently launched, along with its Wall token, which has also been pumping. And if you want us to review Walrus, then smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Drop a comment down below to let us know, and we'll see what we can do. Now, in April, the bullish news continued, with Sui integrating with the Ledger hardware wallet. Now, although the integration is currently limited to buying, sending, and receiving Sui, the announcement specifies that swapping and staking support will go live in the coming months, making Sui even more accessible. Shortly afterwards, Sui announced that it had partnered with the X Portal and X Money to launch Sui-branded Mastercards, making it possible to pay for goods and services using Sui at over 20,000 merchants. While the card is only virtual for now, a physical card will be shipped later this year. Last but definitely not least, rumors started circulating that Pokemon had partnered with Sui. And this is because the terms and conditions of Pokemon's mobile app had been updated to note that Parasol was one of the developers. And of course, you'll recall that Parasol was acquired by Miston Labs back in March. Not only that, but on the same day that the terms and conditions of Pokemon's mobile app were updated, Sui announced that Parasol would be launching multiple trading card games on Sui. Even though the announcement didn't specify Pokemon, it has led to speculation that Pokemon will be one of the trading card games that Parasol launches on Sui, which will be extremely bullish. As it so happens, we could find out whether Sui is actually partnering with Pokemon in the coming days. And that's because on May 1st and May 2nd, Sui will be hosting its Basecamp conference here in Dubai. And since the start of the year, Adonai has been highlighting in interviews that Basecamp will have massive announcements, mainly around Sui's gaming ambitions, including its Suiplay device. FYI, Suiplay is a handheld gaming device that Sui announced last year. All 10,000 pre-orders recently sold out, with units expected to ship sometime later this year. Adonai revealed in a February interview that Suiplay would include support for games on Steam and Epic Games, in addition to the Sui native games. More importantly, Adonai noted that once pre-sales are sold out, they will sell on the regular market. And if you've been keeping up with our Sui updates, you'll know that we've been underscoring the fact that the Suiplay device could see exponentially more sales than any other kind of crypto hardware to date. Besides the fact that gamers are a demographic that's open to buying multiple devices, airdrops could more than offset the cost of the Suiplay device, the same way they did with Solana's Saga phone. In other words, Suiplay would essentially be sold for free, and games on Suiplay would incentivize users with free money in the form of airdrops. And this would completely change the incentives we see in gaming. And this is something that Adonai is hyper aware of and has hinted at in many interviews. The only hurdle to this is regulations, but you'll remember that Sui has apparently been actively involved in discussions around crypto with US regulators. It stands to reason then that many of these discussions related to whether the Suiplay device could offer airdrops to US users. Now consider that both SEC Acting Chair Mark Ueda and the new SEC Chair Paul Atkins have hinted at the possibility that the SEC could allow for more leeway for crypto without Congress needing to pass regulations. So, when you combine everything I've been saying for the last few minutes, it strongly suggests that Sui is going to get a second leg higher in the coming weeks, and it could start in the coming days. And this brings me to the moment you've all been waiting for, and that's Sui's price analysis and potential. And if you watched our previous Sui review, you'll know that we flagged the fact that the massive rally Sui experienced earlier this year was being driven by whales, and that it wouldn't be sustained without additional retail speculation. Well, additional retail speculation never showed up, and Sui subsequently crashed. And this begs the question of what's been driving Sui's recent rally. And the answer, once again, seems to be whales. And that's because the number of transactions and active wallets on Sui has been flat compared to Sui's price action, which has been parabolic. And as we noted in our previous videos, on-chain analysis suggests Sui whales are borrowing stablecoins against Sui in DeFi to invest back into Sui, of course, pumping its price. Put simply, Sui is in the exact same position it was earlier this year, with whales driving most of the price action and additional retail speculation required to continue carrying it higher. What's different this time is that the macro backdrop seems to be improving, meaning there could be a chance that retail starts to arrive this time. However, this doesn't mean that retail will arrive in the coming days. And that's why we believe that any pump that Sui experiences as a result of the Basecamp conference is likely to be a sell the news event in the short term. Evidence of this can be found on Sui's weekly chart, which shows that it's struggling to get a clean break above the Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly. And as you can see, this has been a critical level that marks short-term bull and bear trends for Sui. Now, chances are you're wondering how low Sui could go if it experiences a pullback in the short term. Now, the first level to watch would be $3, which is both a key psychological level and a strong zone of support. If $3 fails to hold, $2.75 would be the next level to watch, and after that, $2.4. Whether Sui bounces from any of these levels and continues heading higher fundamentally depends on macro conditions, which are up in the air to say the least. If inflation continues to fall and the economy continues to weaken, the Fed could ease in response, creating a bullish tailwind for risk assets. The catch is that the economic weakening could be extreme and cause a recession, which would be very bearish. We'll be doing a video about the possibility of this in the coming days, so subscribe and ping that notification bell so you don't miss it. Now, for the sake of argument, let's suppose that Sui bounces from that $3 level. This then begs the biggest question of all, which is, what Sui's cycle top could be. Believe it or not, but $10 would be a realistic expectation in that scenario, assuming, of course, that macro does improve. Now, whether Sui could rally to $10 or more in the coming months ultimately depends on its upcoming milestones. Sui's de facto roadmap was posted on X by Adonai back in January. And if you're interested in the milestones it includes, you can refer to our previous video for that. For the purposes of this video, we want to focus on additional milestones that have been announced since then. These milestones can be found in Sui's blog posts and on its website, and the first milestone relates to Maximal Extractable Value, or MEV. Now, without getting too technical, MEV makes it possible for validators to rearrange transactions in a block in a way that profits them. As a fun fact, MEV has a big issue for Solana developers, and it seems Sui's response has been to reduce MEV on its chain. A blog post from Miston Labs in late February explained all the different ways they were working towards reducing MEV on Sui. And if these changes are implemented soon, then it could result in more Solana projects pivoting to Sui's ecosystem and also more integrations with the TradFi system. The second milestone relates to all the games that will be launching on Sui. These games were detailed in a blog post that Sui posted back in March, but it's safe to say that this list is expanding by the day. And as a fun little fact, Sui is planning on expanding its hardware offerings beyond handheld devices in the future, including consoles. And it also wants to expand Sui game integrations to console, desktop, and mobile. The third milestone relates to something that's been a hot topic these days, and that's quantum resistance. In early April, Miston Labs published a blog post which explained all the ways that Sui can be made quantum secure. It goes without saying that this should be easy to do with Sui's very talented developers. The fourth milestone relates to another thing that's becoming a hot topic, and that's privacy. In early April, Sui published a blog post which announced the launch of Nautilus, a private off-chain computation protocol. And this will make it possible to do things like on-chain KYC without revealing personal details. The fifth and final milestone for Sui I want to mention relates to something I talked about earlier, and that's Sui's growing support for wrapped Bitcoin. The Sui website happens to have a page dedicated to the so-called BTC-Fi. And now perhaps we're mistaken, but this page wasn't there the last time we covered the project. If we're correct, then this could suggest that Sui is planning on doubling down on BTC-Fi. All we're wondering is why there have been no discussions about Sui improvement proposals or SIPs in the Sui forum since last December, especially since Miston Labs recently discussed SIPs related to MEV. It's almost as if everything about the project is being coordinated by the team and Sui whales. And this brings me to the challenges that we foresee for Sui. And the first challenge is sustainability, specifically its price action. At this point, it's clear to just about everyone that Sui's price action is being driven by whales. The good news is that we've done a good job of managing this price action so far. The bad news, though, is that this is presumably being done with some kind of leverage, i.e. borrowing against Sui to buy more Sui, be it using DeFi or otherwise. If this is the case, then it could set the stage for a massive liquidation event if we were to see a big crash in crypto as the result of, say, a recession over the coming months. And this could take Sui's price much lower than people expect during the bear market. The good news, though, is that this dynamic could also cause its price to go much higher than people expect during the bull market. And some would actually argue that that's exactly what we've been seeing over the last year: constant upside surprises. And this ties into Sui's second challenge, and that's development, specifically technical issues. And if you watched our previous review, you'll know that Sui experienced an outage late last year. As we also noted in our previous review, we believe the project's fast-paced development opens the risk to more technical issues. It's also worth keeping in mind that Sui uses a brand new technology that's not as battle-tested. Sui's use of the Move programming language and its object-oriented model could result in unforeseen issues if we see an actual spike in on-chain activity related to, say, a Pokemon game integrating Sui. There could also be technical issues with the actual Suiplay devices once they ship, something we also noted in our previous review. And this could deal a huge blow to Sui's adoption strategy. For what it's worth, Sui's leadership seems to understand this, and they are diversifying GameFi integrations beyond Suiplay. And this relates to Sui's third challenge, and that's reputational risk. And this is something that was noted by the crypto media. Sui's decision to partner with World Liberty Financial could backfire in more ways than one. The most evident way would be people giving Sui the Elon Musk treatment for working with Trump. In practical terms, that would mean investors boycotting Sui just because it's supposedly related to Trump. Another way this partnership could backfire is if World Liberty Financial experiences operational issues. And this includes everything from a hack to the company deciding to dump the Sui it bought, like it apparently did with ETH a few days back. That would destroy any positivity related to the narrative of Sui being a Trump crypto, which seems to be less appealing a narrative to retail investors these days. With all that said, though, Sui is perfectly positioned for mass adoption compared to almost every other crypto project. Say what you will about their strategy, but it seems to be working. Suiplay pre-orders have sold out. Sui is apparently on board in top-tier games. Native infrastructure is being built out while Sui integrates with other chains. And most importantly, Sui's price has been pumping a lot. And that's why many of us at Team Coin Bureau are happy to have Sui in our personal portfolios and are confident that it will continue to see impressive growth in the coming months, recession notwithstanding. On a more bullish note, there are other things you should watch aside from recession risk, and you can find out what those are by watching our video right over here. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, well, you can do that right over here. This is me, Nick, signing off. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.